Cooksy Mob, what's up? How awesome was the first round of Super Duper playoffs? I loved it, guys. There's so many storylines, so many things that went right. Yeah, it had a single file section, but that's something that when you build it on a drag strip with those solid walls, it's really, really hard to combat. But with that said, the track played out really well. And I want to thank Chris from Strapped and his dad. They were the most gracious hosts. I'm telling you what, guys, Strapped is a company on its way up. Check out the Red Pill shirt. And I'm thinking about doing some shirts that say Cooksy Mob will not comply. Let me know if you're interested in getting something like that, and you'll be able to buy them on the Ride Strapped just their website. So check that out. Complete Racing Solutions. You guys know Coach Rob. Go over to his site, check it out. He's got programs for everybody. He's got webinars. He's got more knowledge than you'll ever need. It's so amazing what he can do for you physically, mentally, all the way around. Just a great guy with a great program. If you need something for your garage, check out Epic Garage Designs. If you just need more room, you want to do a roof rack, they got roof racks. If you want to do slat wall, they got slat wall. Badass floorings from epoxy to the tile floors, whatever you need, they got you covered. And then if you're tired of dealing with trucking companies that are unreliable, hit up Precision Transport. These guys will get your stuff there and with no hassles, none of the same bullcrap. They won't treat you like Frontier Air treated me on the way home. Yeah, on my way home. So what would have been a 4-hour flight turned into a 25-hour journey with like a long layover in the Denver airport. And I will say this, the Denver airport, if you got to get stuck somewhere, it's not bad. There's places where you can go find. I got a solid 2 hours of sleep in on the floor. Yeah, whatever. You do what you got to do when you're traveling, but I'm working on some stuff to try and get to more of these races, guys. I'm going to have to do some more videos. I'm going to do a second channel on MMA. But I really like going to these races, and I had no idea how strong the Cooksy Mob is out there. Like, I see the numbers, I know it's pretty good, but I cannot believe how many people yelled Cooksy Mob and came up to me and hung out, took pictures. You guys are awesome. The message is getting out there. And most people at Feld are paying attention, and most of them actually appreciate what I'm doing. I'm surprised, and I'm surprised that they actually like it, and a lot of them watch. I think it comes down to one Napoleon guy. It's their media guy, Sean Brennan. He just tries to control everything, and he tells reporters not to say anything or anything that could possibly be construed as negative about the playoffs. I think a few of these guys need to do what I'm doing and just say, you know what, take your press box and stuff it. I'm going to say what needs to be said about this sport. If Swap Moto and, a couple of these guys that aren't tied to this series, Vital MX, although Michael Lindsay has no spine, so I doubt that'll happen. But if a couple of these guys that aren't tied, like Racer X is part of the series. They actually own MX Sports, vice versa, whatever. They're the same company. But some of these independents need to say, take your press box, stuff it. We're going to cover this how we want to cover it. And kind of do what I'm doing and give you guys the right information. And, they get mad at me for sometimes going negative, but sometimes things need to be talked about that are negative to fix them. But overall, I will say this event was absolutely awesome. Let's get into, you know what? We're just going to get into this right now.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
The Lawrence brothers had a bad day. But that's what's so cool about this format is single, double, triple. It doesn't matter that much. It really doesn't. And yes, it matters, but it doesn't. And I will say this. All the guys, both Lawrence brothers, had a bullseye on them. Like nobody on the track, when they saw that Honda fender, gave way, especially Jett. These guys do not they all have egos, they all have confidence. Nobody wants to be made his bitch. And that's what he did to them in the outdoors. And they are fighting back. Nobody wants to just go into Supercross with Jett as just the king of the sport. Chase proved it. I mean, he went 1-1 and he needed that so bad. That's like a gorilla off his back, not just a monkey, a gorilla. It was crazy because on, Friday they had the autograph line. Deegan, huge line. Jett, huge line. Sexton, sitting there. You could just walk right up and talk to him. It was crazy. I'm sure that will change, but he's going to KTM. He'll get his own, he'll be the star over there. He won't be the B rider like he is right now. And I think that's good for the sport overall. And KTM needs a revamp. I love AP. AP is just a man of the people, but I don't think he's a guy that's going to fight for race wins week in and week out. I wish he would, but I don't care. I'll take whatever I can get from AP. Joe Schmoda and Ryder DeFrancisco, both these guys came out on fire. And if you don't think it meant a lot for Ryder D to finally get up there on that podium, watch that second moto interview, the post-race, where he teared up. I have to think both of these guys, they're both going to new teams. I don't think Joe's going to like the Honda as much as he does that Kawasaki right now. The Honda, I feel like gets more credit than it probably should because Hunter is so good and Jett was so good. But Kawasaki, whatever problems they had, and they clearly had problems early in the year. The guys hated the bike. They didn't know what it was going to do. And you know what? Hats off. They fixed it. And whatever, all those guys are fast. Nobody's complaining about the bike now. It's funny how you go from bottom to the top that quick, but I should have known. Mitch Payton, whatever you think of Mitch Payton, that dude knows how to get things fixed and get things done. And if he had to revamp and listen to the riders, whatever they did, it's working. Keep doing it. And I can't wait to see what Max Volan and Levi Kitchen do when they go over there. Max, I think, will be getting a way better bike. Levi, I'm not so sure because those Yamahas are amazing. But to see Joe win this round, wow, like those outsides. And I love what this track did. What this track did was exactly what we want it to do. We don't want these guys to show up with their suspension off the truck, ready to go, dialed in. We want them to not know, like they didn't know to go outdoor. And then the rhythm section, this is a perfect hybrid track other than, like I said, the dog leg, but that's minuscule. That's something that you can fix. And like I say, it might've been just because of the drag strip. You know, let's not forget, passing is harder to do when guys are closer in speed. And all the fast guys were there. All of them were there, and all of them feel like they have a chance to win this thing. So nobody was just moving over. You know, like I said, especially for the Lawrences, they have a giant bullseye on them. It'll be less next weekend in Chicago, but yeah. And Hayden Deegan is absolutely the next I shouldn't say the next. He is the biggest superstar in this sport. Even though Jett just went undefeated, Hayden Deegan's a bigger star. You listen to him every time. The crowd follows him around. There's more Deegan shirts in that crowd. It's funny because like I said, I've always wanted a guy who's going to come in here with his attitude, be who he is. I didn't know it was going to be Hayden Deegan. I didn't know he had. In fact, I talked to some Cooksey mob guys. They caught me at the airport. They were stranded too. They were flying Frontier. Frontier canceled their flights. Frontier sucks. But we were talking, and I was like, listen, I had it wrong about Deegan. I knew he had the talent. I knew he had the setup. I knew he was trained from just being a little kid. But what you don't find out, and I didn't see it in Anaheim 2. I felt like it was the opposite in Anaheim 2. You got to have that dog in you, that what Chase Sexton has, that willing to send it, that when it's down. And sometimes when you come from, you know, an upbringing where you have everything, you don't have that dog in you. Second generation wealth usually doesn't have that dog in them. I wasn't sure if he'd have it, but he's got it, guys. I don't know where it came from or how. He has that dog in him. The same one that the Lawrence brothers have, but they got it from, you know, their struggles and coming from where they came from. Deegan he never had those struggles, so I didn't know if he had that, but he absolutely has the dog in him. He's a badass. Oh, and think about this. This could actually happen, and I want this so bad to happen. I want Hayden Deegan to get second or third at Chicago, go into the LA Coliseum, never having won an indoor stadium race, and get the win at the same place his dad got his only win and ghost ride it. I'm trying to manifest it, guys. Could you imagine how it's just like too good, but it actually could happen. There is a probability we could see Hayden Deegan get his very first win in the Coliseum. Keep in mind, this wasn't even considered a couple years ago. They weren't even racing in the Coliseum anymore. This wasn't even something that could happen. And now it looks like it's a very real possibility for him to win in the LA Coliseum and become the new super duper motocross world champion of the world and Mars. So I like it, and man, I can't wait. And even though I make fun of the name Super Duper because it's the most unoriginal super motocross name, I love everything else about this three race playoff. And I had a long talk with some of the guys from the TV truck, and I understand why they call it playoff. You have to call it playoff because that associates with ad executives, and everybody in sports understands the word playoff. And to try and recreate that with a new word, race off or finals, it just wouldn't have the same sellable, marketable, tone that these guys need to make this thing profitable. And if you want to call it a playoff and you do that, you know what? I'm going to stop making fun of it as a playoff and embrace the playoff, because I understand where they're coming from. He made a great point, my buddy from the TV truck. So like I said, these guys are listening and they're watching, and I love it. And I love you guys. And you guys kicked ass at this event.